This is Time Magazine doing a study on life expectancy rates in the US. I keep telling y'all the US is not the USA. The US is the fake lie about the Western made up manufactured artificial supremacy. So now Time is studying the lie that they created, helped create. What they won't say is they are studying the fake lie about fair-skinned Europeans being the majority. This is alarm bells to all. This is a silent dog whistle alarm bells to all those in the inner circles of the upper class people. This is the same thing, the same dog whistle that Pharaoh sounded in Egypt when looking at how Joseph, when he was blessed because he was following the covenant of his God, and then there came a Pharaoh after Joseph, and a Pharaoh that was in the same covenant with God, caused Egypt and God's people, who are the same brothers and sisters, same family, no European descendants, both sons of Ham, both sons of Noah, I'm sorry. So when a new Pharaoh who wanted to depart from the same covenant that the Pharaoh who partnered with Joseph and was reminded that you are descendants from the same covenant with this same spiritual foundation. And the reason that Egypt was blessed during Joseph's reign with that Pharaoh was they are from the same identical family, always have been, always will be. And the moment that a new Pharaoh came years later, rejected the God of Joseph, which is the creator of heaven and earth. Before Moses, before Ten Commandments, before your so-called King James Bible, all of that, God's children, Nubian, Cushite, darkest people on the planet, in the same area that they fake call Holy Land, in the same area that they fake call the Middle East. No such thing. God had a covenant with our ancestors. I am a descendant of the Cushite, Nubian people. Abraham came out of that same line. Isaac, Jacob came out of the same line. They were grafted back into this covenant with God, just like the Pharaoh was grafted back into the covenant with God. God himself came to Abraham to put Abraham back in this original covenant that he gave his Nubian kings and queens. Then when God himself came back and got Abraham back in line, back in the family line, back in the family covenant, then he sent Abraham's sons to remind their other brothers all over the world what God came and reminded them. You guys are lost. Get back in the covenant that I gave the original mother and father of humanity, that it was no division there. There's no multiple nations, kindred, tongue, and people, because there was only one family. There was only one covenant. The families got divided because of Nimrod's same idolatry with Abraham was lost and God had to come to him. Nimrod was lost and his heart was so lost, God couldn't come to him. The only difference between Abraham and Nimrod is Abraham's heart was a heart that God knew if he stood at the door and knocked, Abraham would open up his heart. That's the only difference. Abraham and Nimrod lived the same life. Abraham and Nimrod were in the same place with God idolatry wise. And because Europeans have held on to the idolatry no matter what, Europeans, because they claim their father is Caesar, when they had a choice to be able to choose the Messiah and the Creator as their father. And still to this day, these Europeans, Time Magazine, they're letting the other Europeans know, listen, the charade is about to be up. No matter how much we try and spin the narrative, the world is going to know that we are not the majority. We have never been superior. We've copied everything. We've stolen every piece of science, history, mathematics from the fallen Pharaoh who would not get in line. That is the only thing that Rome did. When the Pharaoh that didn't know Joseph and rejected Joseph's God put in a counterfeit system, Greece and Rome came down into Egypt to get that system. Europe was built on the rejection of the covenant of God after God had already showed with Joseph that Egypt and the whole world is a Cushite, Nubian covenant with God, and everybody else can always return back to that covenant because that's where everybody came from. But if you don't, what God showed with Moses after the Pharaoh rejected the covenant was it doesn't matter who comes after. When I came to Abraham, it doesn't matter who comes after. When I sent Abraham's children to the rest of the world to remind them of their covenant, it don't matter who come after that, what nation, what lie, it don't matter. Moses was proof that no matter what you try and build on the lie, I will come back and erase it and destroy it. And every time God is about to erase and destroy the lie of the idolatry, the Egyptian Pharaoh looked over at Joseph's children who were in the covenant and saw how prosperous they were. Saw that God's blessing of being fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. Be fruitful and multiply. Replenish the earth. It's not an evolution. It's not a blessing in evolution. There ain't a blessing in the Big Bang Theory. And all of the people who believe in the evolutionary theory and the Big Bang Theory, they come to this point every time because it's a lie. And now, the European who is selling the lie, Time Magazine sells the lie of evolution. Cambridge and Oxford and Harvard and Yale and your educational system sell the lie. But then they have to come back because they've taught anthropology. They've taught the lie in biology. They've taught the lie in archaeology. They've taught the lie in psychology. They've taught the lie. But supernatural means it don't matter what the inhumane try and lie. The Creator's supernatural blessing on his children supersedes any unnatural, inhumane lie. So here they are, studying 17 different European populations in the U.S. And they are telling their people exactly what Pharaoh told his people in Egypt. Listen, they outnumber us. If we don't do something militarily, if we do not enslave them, if we do not kill their children. Pharaoh sent his army to kill the children of Goshen, to kill the children of Joseph. It's documented in the Bible. So this is Pharaoh of Egypt telling all of the rest of the European idol worshippers, listen, our numbers are too low and they are blessed. We must enslave and exterminate the population of anybody. And y'all got to know, it's just as many European idol worshippers of color who ascribe to this theory. This is where the fair-skinned Europeans got it from. Y'all got to know that the Nubian, the real root Nubian Egyptians of color are the ones who are teaching and executing the extermination. The fair-skinned Europeans get to move out to their upper class communities and then communicate with they people of color on the ground who believe the same way they believe, who are not flourishing, who only flourish at the expense of those who they exterminate and extract and rob and kill on behalf of maintaining the lie. So now we're going to watch this video of time letting the European pagans know that they ain't the majority. And if they don't do something about this right now, the whole world's going to know.